Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. All right, today is day 3 of Lent. My main goal of this Lent was to not allow social anxiety to completely engulf me. You got to understand how we got to where I am today. It all started last summer. I was teaching at a community college. It was 115 degrees here in the Phoenix area, and I got a really bad case of long COVID. And I was living alone. I was living in a micro studio apartment. I didn't have a whole lot of storage room, right? So I regularly have to go out and get supplies because I don't have a whole lot of storage room in my home. And when I did that, you got to remember 115 degrees, long COVID. I was often dehydrated, disoriented. And when I got to the store, I loitered around in the store, not out of any ill intent, but just out of my circumstances. And the store security there gave me heck about it. Now, what really bothered me, I mean, it's bothersome when somebody harasses you for doing the best that you can do. That's bothersome. But what's even more bothersome than that, infinitely more so, is how thin the line is that separates. I'm teaching at a community college. We're getting good reviews, doing really well with everybody there, good rapport with all my students, living the good life. And a very thin line separates that with being harassed, being sick, and all that. And that really bothered me, how thin that line is. Get anything wrong, right? So, for example, if you stop and think about how many things going wrong today would separate you from where you are today with a completely different, chaotic situation, for most people, it's not a whole lot. I mean, if I stop to think about it, if I really think about it, there are many things that could go wrong today that if they did, would put me in a very, very different situation by tonight, or even by the next hour, or even by the next couple of minutes. If you really stop to think about it, and it's scary when you think about it. And the one thing that would have helped last year was not having the right connections. If I had a spouse, right, or even a significant other, that whole situation would have played very differently. Or even if I had somebody to pick up the phone and call to help me, which I didn't at the time. Today I would, but at the time I didn't. And so I resolved at the beginning of the year, I resolved to go back into the dating scene as a result of what happened last summer. And it really sucks because I really love my personal space. It really sucks. Let's review a little bit about this whole return to the dating scene. First, I was desperate. One day I had gone to church and I had a friend there, and I was thinking about my situation. I was doing really well at work, and I was doing financially really well too. You got to remember, I was accumulating a lot of precious metals, and I had maxed out my Roth IRA the year before that. I was doing really well, and I decided, you know what? What if I just offered some of that financial reward for somebody who could just put me on any blind date? That way, I could get the ball going, right? And that was my inspiration. And so that first one, I started low and I didn't get anywhere, and I decided I had to pull out the big guns, and so I offered a 1 kilogram silver bar for anybody who could set me up on a blind date, and I still didn't get anywhere. And I had to add to that a bunch of the bismuth art that I had done, and so right now I think I had, at today's prices, that bismuth that I gave was worth more than that silver now. So he got a really good reward, and I went on my first date in 3 years at that point, if you can believe it. And then not long after that, my grandmother passed away, and I'm so pleased that my grandmother saw me return to the dating scene, even though it was a weird way of doing it. My grandmother passed away, and I went to the funeral. And at the funeral, I discovered, I didn't know this at the time, but I was reading the biography, and I discovered that my grandmother had coexisted with Mary Curry for about 6 months. Uh, And so I asked my grandmother when she makes it to the other side to talk to Mary Curry to set me up with one of her great granddaughters. And as a reward, at the casket, I placed a small piece of bismuth in the casket because Mary Curry's polonium 210 is now made from bismuth. And hopefully grave robbers don't hear this because to the price of bismuth. But the casket was cremated, and her urn apparently contains a crystal of bismuth. I don't know how it would look like at the temperatures that cremation happens at. Probably a lot of oxidation. And I don't know if she had any jewelry in the urn. Right? Bismuth will alloy with a lot of metals, so it's hard to say. But I asked her to go talk to Mary Curry. And after I got out of the service, I went back to my hotel room and I was bored. And I don't know what compelled me to reactivate a dating profile I had used many years ago. And when I opened it, I was mortified by what I had seen. You got to remember, 5 years ago, my hobbies were very different than what they are today, and I was also considerably overweight. I had binge eating problems, and so I didn't really take good care of my hygiene either. Long story short, I had to delete it and start all over again. And and then I was talking to a girl in Taiwan, and I only got to see her briefly before I had to fly home the next day, and I was so heartbroken that whole trip home. I don't know how I flew home. I was so heartbroken, and then I got home, and I continued to use the profile back home, but I don't have as good fortunes here in the United States as I do in Taiwan. So as a joke, one day I I went to my favorite hiking trail, and I pointed left at the camera and I said, as a joke, please swipe left on the profile. I've already gotten like 2 3 weeks worth of left swipes. Might as well shoot for a record, something like that. Before I knew it, I got 30, 40 likes on the profile. I don't know why. Every time I ask for dislikes, I get a lot of likes. And I almost thought about, as a joke, I'm teaching at a community college, but eventually I may move cities, right? Maybe my last semester teaching at Glendale, I'll ask everybody to leave me a bad review. That way I could justify leaving GCC, right? Something to that effect. I don't know if I should do that or not. It might look bad on my if I need references in the future, though. So I don't know if I should do that. I'm tempted to, though. I love that concept so much. Anyways, so on Bumble, I asked people to swipe left, and before I knew it, I got 30 likes. And I ended up having to pay for a membership just to see what was going on. And before I knew it, I was talking to a girl in Houston, and I actually flew to Houston to go see her. And nothing turned of it, but it was a good experience. It lifted my spirits considerably. And now I'm talking to another girl up here in the Phoenix area. But unfortunately, all of this drama, up and down drama, and some uncertainty and all that is weighing on me. And that's where we come to this resolution, this Lent, of fixing it before it gets too out of hand, right? You gotta remember, not that many months ago, I had the opposite problem. I was so heartbroken, and my work kind of suffered, but in a way, it also didn't suffer because I buried my head in the work to escape all of that. This time around, my work's actually suffering, so that's why I'm making this resolution. All right, that pretty much sums up of what's been happening lately. March 8th is International Women's Day, right? Okay. What else is going on? I also need to be eating better. I haven't been doing intermittent fasting as of late, in large part because of all the drama. I haven't been able to focus on that. I need to get back to my art projects. I mean, I'm going to be taking a break away from the metal casting because of the price right now, but I want to be doing the Mondrian squares. Uh, All right, please continue to pray for me by leaving a dislike on this video. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Please sing along with me, gesture at your screen, and leave a dislike on this video. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.